as the Warriors season starts tonight right here on 95.7 The Game. And one of the ways we're going to get you ready is to say hello to none other than Bobby Fitz. What's going on, Bob?
What's up, guys? How are you?
You know what?
Doing great, Bob.
Could not be better, man. We'll throw the question right back at you. Like, how are you as we get started for another year?
I'll be better when I'm done with the ring ceremony. That's always a little bit of trepidation when TNT throws it to you, and it's like, I got to navigate through Adam Silver and the rings and the players and the banner, and then I get to be a fan tonight because TNT's doing the game. So,
but honestly, Bob, do you, and I'm not trying to be overly deferential and praiseworthy because you know it's not my bit, but you've done so many of these and you've done so well at all of these. Do you really get nervous in a spot like this?
No. I mean, the nerves stopped.
Okay.
Nerves stopped doing 8 to midnight by yourself, for years. And like, hey, I was a paper boy in Chicago when I was a little, now it's 10:43. Let's get into the Giants bullpen. So like once you do that for years and years and years, and this will be 30 years in the NBA for me. So tonight is just all about excitement, like another banner, another ring. Like I go back to Joe and Peter, like, hey, that's a lonely banner, we want another one, and thinking there are 4 that have been added since they bought the team. Like that, Steve Kerr said it, I think yesterday, with Steiny and those guys. Like, you sit back and go, this all really happened?
Seriously.
Like is this did this all happen? Like I would have been pleased with like 1 title. Like, oh my God, 1 title. And now they got 4, and some idiot just said it. The run is not done, so let's see what happens.
I mean, if you've been a Warrior fan for any amount of time, it really is, when you step back, the most unthinkable thing in sports. Like, if you had told a Warrior fan in the 80s or the 90s or hell, whenever leading up to this, by the way, the next lengthy dynasty in sports is going to be the Golden State Warriors. It's laughable. It's absolutely unthinkable.
I'll let you guys in on it. Like, when I talk to Kevin Harlan and Mike Breen and just buddies around the league, they're always like, God, you have the greatest job in the world. Like, you're watching the Dubs night in, night out. And I said, they made the playoffs 1 time in the first 18 seasons. That was We Believe. Nobody was calling me then saying you have the greatest job in the world. So, I figure I've earned it. It's about time. So, no, but you got to appreciate it, love it. And just, this season is, where's the magic of Steph and the, ascendance again of Clay and Draymond's relentless defense and Kevon building on this Mr. Indestructible season and Andre mentoring. And then Moody, Kuminga, Wiseman, Jordan, like, to have all this happening at the same time is so cool and so much fun, and it doesn't normally happen that way. You either got puppies on the way up, or you got all the OGs kind of trying to hang on for the last charge of the Light Brigade, and they've got both. So I think that's to get you excited about the year. And man, the West is so good, and the East is so good that the normal NBA, those teams winning it, and everybody else, because not this year, man. I wouldn't be surprised if there's 10 different teams that could win the title this year.
Yeah, that's what Brian Windhorst was saying with the guys this morning, and I think 10 is it's a pretty good number. And you were alluding to the 2 timelines idea, and we had those timelines collide in a practice punch from a couple of weeks ago. What do you make of the fallout, Bob, and what do you think about the amount of time that's passed and how the fan base and the organization can go through the healing process?
Well, I'll quote or lean to a couple different people, is that Steve and Bob and Draymond and Jordan have all spoken, okay? So and Steph, and there's nothing more I can add. Those are the principles. But Kalena Azubuike said on our first preseason telecast, if there's any culture that can withstand any kind of situation, it is the Warriors. And I would just agree with my partner there. I just think that there's so many quality people in this franchise, and when quality people work together, you can get through anything. And then that's just how I would look at it.
Bob Fitzgerald with us here, Willard and Dibs, 95.7 The Game. We always say things like on paper this time of year because we don't have anything that's real as of yet. But when people say, man, Bob, on paper, this team looks even better than last year. What's your thought on that?
Yeah, I think you have to see everybody working together. Now, like the on paper hey, Steph, Clay, Wiggins, Draymond, Looney. I got a good idea what that looks like because I've seen a lot of that in the playoffs. Never saw it during the regular season because Steph, Clay, and Draymond played only 11 minutes together with all the different injuries. So I feel really good about what you have in the starters, and you saw that in the crucible of the playoffs, and they answered the bell. But this second unit now, I feel good about Jordan. Obviously, he took a huge step forward, but Jordan DiVincenzo, Kuminga, Moody, and Wiseman. Like, what does that second unit look like? Because it's incredibly intriguing in terms of Jordan, Wiseman, pick and roll. Dante's a better rebounding guard than you would have thought. Dante's a second playmaker. Kuminga had 7 assists in the last preseason game, showed Steph I've never seen him do before. Moody seems like he's been in the league 9 years already. He's so steady. So the second unit, particularly on nights if you're load managing some of your mid-30s guys, you can't load manage with a Memphis and Minnesota and Clippers and Dallas and Denver and Phoenix. Like, you're going to need your main guys, but the reality is you've had the short off season and there's only so much tread left on the tires. So the on paper part is that second unit. What can they do? Because a lot is going to be on their shoulders in terms of actual wins and losses. Of
those teams you mentioned, Bob, as you listed off some of the Western Conference rivals, who to you is the most daunting for the Warriors' quest to get one for the thumb?
Clippers and Denver. Jokic now has Jamal Murray and Porter back. Porter, Aaron Gordon is a great combo there. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope is a really good defender, so they would have somebody to try to chase Steph around. And the Joker's just amazing, winning back-to-back MVPs. Then you look at the Clippers with Kawhi and Paul George and the depth, and Ty Lue is a really good coach, and they're hungry. I think Denver and the Clippers, you get to that hunter versus hunted thing, and that motivated the Warriors to get out to that 18-2 start, and they were back in the mix, and they were chasing. Well, these teams are now chasing the dubs. And so I think Clippers, Denver are elite. I think Phoenix is really good. I think Luka Doncic is in the best shape I've ever seen him. And Dallas got Christian Wood and JaVale, so they have some size. I mean, they're really – and then Memphis, I would say Memphis, except the Jaren Jackson injury, any kind of stress fracture in a foot of a big guy, he'll be back. But the first couple months – Memphis is super deep, but Jaren Jackson's a big part of who they are.
Bob, you threw Phoenix in there in the end, so I know you're not dismissing them, but overall, are we dismissing them more than we should? They were the class of the regular season last year, and I guess the only things that have changed, their off-season news was all about how DeAndre Ayton is mad, and then the ownership stuff. But what is it that makes Phoenix not as good as they were last year in your mind?
No, I think they are as good. The only question is how long can the incomparable Chris Paul keep playing at the incomparable Chris Paul level? Because Devin Booker's a star. Mikal Bridges is one of the best defenders I've ever seen. Ayton, I think, is a really, really good center that doesn't get nearly enough respect. I guess the Jay Crowder thing is a little funky. I'm not going to start. Okay, I don't want to be here. That's an oddity to me because he provides toughness and leadership, and I just think this starting, not starting thing is such a joke in the NBA. I just get tired of hearing about it. I think Phoenix, when you win 64 games, remember, they won 64, the Warriors won 53. So Phoenix is elite, and will be heard from for sure.
Yeah, finishing is more important than starting, and you always make a good point of that on the broadcast. One team you haven't mentioned, tonight's opponent, the Lakers. Bob, what do you make of this this Laker outfit? Is it as big a circus as we see it from the outside?
Well, you guys, let's go back. You're younger, but you're not that young.
Just a little bit, Bob.
Wow, that hurts.
Just a lot younger.
Do you remember Ernie Shavers?
Of course.
Okay. I'm proud to say no, I don't. But go ahead, Bob.
Well, Ernie Shavers was the one heavyweight. He was a heavyweight, like in the Ali, Ken Norton era. With Joe Frazier. Ernie Shavers, one of those guys where if you boxed him and stayed away, you could be fine. If you made one mistake, he had a right hand that was soul-crushing, okay? That's the Lakers. LeBron and Anthony Davis healthy in a series, you would have a problem. Now, getting to that series, they got to play 82 games. And that's where you haven't seen, as LeBron's in year 20 and AD's been banged up, you haven't seen the health needed to get to a series. But would you want to see LA in a playoff series? No, you wouldn't.
Well,
no, you wouldn't.
Here's my question on that, Bob, though. Like, I get that, and there's no dismissing of those two players. LeBron is still fantastic, but is LeBron the LeBron that we really felt? I mean, for years it was like if you have him, that's enough on its own to at least get to a certain point of the playoffs. It's not that anymore. I mean, they couldn't even get into the playoffs last year mainly because AD was out. So is LeBron still that level of a problem?
Well, he is. Physically, after year 20, you're going to decline a little bit. But mentally, I think the GM said 48% of the GM said he had the highest IQ in the whole sport.
Yeah.
And I completely agree with that. So angles, situations, passing, defense, just enough of everything. And then Pat Beverly's teams make the playoffs. Like they just do.
Yeah.
In his career, they do. Like 10 of his 11 years or something. So Pat Bev with LeBron, with AD, but they've all got to be there. They've all got to be functioning at 1,000% in over 6 months and 82 games. That has yet to be seen. Last time it was seen when they were healthy, LeBron missed 8 and AD missed 9. They won the title.
Yeah.
So they're Ernie Shavers. Like, yeah, be careful that right hand because when they land on you, you're in trouble.
Bob, just because you brought Pat Bev up, I mean, there's so many Warriors fans who now it's inevitable they're going to have eyes on Draymond and Jordan Poole this year just to see how they interact. Can we ask the same question about Pat Bev and Russell Westbrook? Like, how the hell is that going to work?
Well, I don't know either of them well enough to, coherently make some statement. I just know that Beverly's all about winning. And Westbrook, when he's right, is still an uber-talented contributing player. So that'll be up to Darvin Ham and LeBron and all that. But I also, too, with LeBron, things don't get goofy on his teams per se. Like, if he had two guys squabbling and they both could help you win, I think LeBron's going to help out with that stuff. So, it's just my faith in LeBron being, the second-best player in the history of the sport. He's just elite on so many levels, and if they're healthy, the Lakers are going to be a problem. That's just the way I look at it.
Bob, always great to hear your voice, and here we go, man. And good luck with ring night.
Yeah, I mean it's the what's cool just to let you, the first ring is going to go to Juan Toscano Anderson because he's in the building with the Lakers. I love Juan Toscano Anderson. Like he's not a Warrior this year. But, man, I love that guy, and I love his story, and I love what he means to the Bay. That'll be fun. Like, hey, the first ring, Juan Toscano in it. Like, I'm excited for that, and I know Chase Center's going to treat him right. That's going to be
great. They save the GP2 and the Auto Porters for when they actually come to town?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct,
okay.
Yeah. And those will be good nights, too, because we love Auto and we love GP2 and, the whole bit. And I don't know if we'll get Nemanja over from Serbia or whatever, but, no, that's it. Once you win a title, with the Dubs, you're in the family forever.
Yeah, sign me up for Be Elite tonight if that happens. I want to be front row for that. That'd be phenomenal. Bob, great stuff, man. Great to hear you. Thank you so much.
Hey, anytime, guys. Good hearing you guys, too.
Yep.
Thanks,
all
Bob.
right, there it is. That's Bobby Fitz.